Howdy, folks. I'm Colonel Sanders, and you're not. Sugar Man, hello, hello. Are you from TikTok or Instagram? If not, welcome in from the random edges of the internet. And if you are, thank you for joining us tonight. It was 30 minutes to reach our live goal. I'm going to put it on there. If we reach the live goal, we'll stream for another extra hour. I plan on being at least a half hour, but if we reach the live goal, people show that they want us to be live more, then we'll do it. Hope the audio is good. We hope it is good. I like looking nearly invisible in the background here. Right here, I'm in the kitchen. I'm invisible. I think that's the neatest thing. Drop me down here. Ah. Oh, this is gonna be great. We got a lot of lag going on. A lot of lag going on. Xfinity is not the best provider. Very expensive they are. Poor service. Way too low for the price for the lag that we've been getting. Is that the UK's campaign? Or is that the United States campaign? I didn't care for the UK's campaign that they did, but that also didn't bother me because they weren't sexualizing or misrepresenting Uncle Harley, and if they weren't even really mentioning him, unless you're talking about the Colonel lives with the chicken. My personal thought is they need to remove Colonel Sanders from all marketing of Kentucky Fried Chicken because it is not his chicken anymore. They did not make it the right. USA, then no, I don't. Because that was them doing some weird stuff. I don't support any of the US marketing other than the Deion Sanders campaign. Even at that, like I told my followers on TikTok, they wanted a Sanders family, and the original Sanders family, especially if they're doing a comeback campaign, it would make sense to partner with the original Sanders family and go back to the original way of doing things. But instead, it seems like they want to replace the Sanders family. And people love it, because who doesn't love Deion Sanders, right? But people also don't realize that the Colonel's family actually exists. A lot of people look at that and they're like, oh, they got an actual Sanders family to represent a fictional character that has been used in marketing. You know, they started chanting "Make the Colonel hot," and then acting like he was angry beyond the grave, which he would be angry beyond the grave, but because of the quality, not because of the chicken competition. The quality and the marketing that they're using, misrepresenting. He was huge on misrepresentation. He did not like that. Similar to Fred Rogers. Can I hire this dude? Yes, I can. I hire this dude. Where's my dude? Hello, Derb. They started chanting, "Make the Colonel hot." I said, really? This was the comeback campaign? Make the Colonel hot? Why not, just, you know, represent him correctly, or just don't piggyback off his name because you can't have a original idea that takes off good because your quality sucks. You know? That video I made on TikTok and on Instagram went viral in the millions of views. And even though KFC blocked me on my sister's account, they didn't block her because she doesn't post anything related. And I went on KFC's account through her account, and I saw thousands of comments of people calling out the marketing and people that didn't realize the marketing they did 10 years ago, comparing it to now. And people didn't like it. When KFC pulled that ad, they were no longer, they still use him as a model, like for the hands, and when they had the bolo tie. And they'll probably bring it back an ad once everything calms down. But they quit showing that commercial. They just been using the Addy guy from Canada, the chef I never heard of. She said if they brought back the ads with Harlan advertising his chicken with how the recipe is now. I wouldn't be upset, but I would say it's inaccurate. I'd prefer them to use those if they're going to use his image because it accurately represents him as a real person. But at this point, part of my boycott's not just their advertisement, it's their quality. Now the Sanders Cafe in Corbin, I haven't had an issue out of their quality. But they feed my family for free, and I don't know how much of that is they actually do it that way every time, or they knew my family was coming and they wanted to be on the top game. I don't really know. But based on the other reviews I've heard of other people, the chicken always smells different there, tastes different there than anywhere else. Everybody just loves the museum more than any other location. So I never had any complaints out of there. But Central City, when I went there, they refried our chicken. They took already fried chicken, stuck it in the deep fryer, and original recipe is supposed to be pressure fried, never deep fried. They deep fried this. We watched them do it. And then they sat it in the bucket, not on the rack that is supposed to keep the chicken heated and drain the oil off. They put it in the bucket for 45 minutes as my family stood in the lobby on a non-busy Sunday evening. And they let it get soggy. Then they shortened us on items that we paid for but didn't receive. The chicken was disgusting, slimy, soggy, no real flavor to it. It was not the quality. And I had a lot of people have similar complaints out of that location and others. And when it comes down to it, regardless of the good locations, it is still not the original way. Even with my friends that franchise in Corbin, certain family members of theirs who have worked with the Colonel and were still in business, ooh, we almost traded, for years said that it's definitely not the same anymore. They changed the oil, they changed the flour, they're pretty sure they changed something with the spice blend, whether it's the measurements or substituting ingredients to make it cheaper. Either way, they're 100% sure that something has changed within the Secret 11. But they're 100% factual they changed the flour and the oil, and they remember what Uncle Harley originally instructed them to use. So it's not, even the good locations is not Colonel Sanders' original recipe. It's not his original quality. It's not what it's advertised as that. So I think they should take, because they're not going to close the business down. They might sell it, but they're not going to shut it down. I think they should remove all of Colonel Sanders' name and image off of the trademarks, off of the packaging and stuff. because it's fraudulent. Unless they go back to the original way and they get on top of their game with the quality control. Now, people say it'll be profit loss, but profit loss is also having a restaurant open that's not making hardly any profit. JRN, the franchise in Corbin, last year they told me they sold over 60, I think they said 60% of their stores in Kentucky Fried Chicken. They said they were shrinking their footprint in Kentucky Fried Chicken. They franchise other ones, but they were shrinking their footprint. And to get to your question, if the rest of my family is as rabid anti-KFC as you are, my grandparents and the rest of my family, they don't do what I... Oh, that's cool. That's weird. They don't do what I do, constantly talking about it and trying to push for a change. They don't do that, but if you ask them about that, there's probably going to be some curse words, and they're going to say it tastes like crap. It's not what it used to be. They'll tell you that we make the chicken at home, whether that's the recipe that I shared, that I'm pretty sure is the closest thing to it, or a different recipe that's completely new and not based off the original. We make chicken at home. And that's what we like. So anybody in the family you ask, they'll say that, or they'll say Lee's is better. Now, my side of the family don't prefer Lee's over KFC. My side of the family prefers Popeyes. At least my grandparents do. And this household, I honestly think they prefer my chicken. But KFC is not on top, and they don't think Lee's is on top either in this house. Because a lot of things have changed. A lot of things have changed. With Lee's, it used to be honey dipped, and it still technically is, but it's a powder form instead of fresh honey. And they had to switch to that to keep up with the demand. Maddie Madison is not the Colonel in that campaign. They had a actor from Sons of Anarchy that dressed like the Colonel but looked nothing like him with Maddie Madison. And they pulled him from those ads. It just has Maddie on there. I'm sure he's getting a good paycheck for it. Every partnership that I have seen with Kentucky Fried Chicken, that reached out to tell them who the real Colonel was and explain what the company is doing to the family. Because in the ads, you know, they're paid to say that they care about the legacy and the legendary Colonel Sanders and all that. So I want to, on a personal level, tell them what's going on. I get blocked, so I don't even reach out anymore. They got rid of the popcorn chicken, now it's the nuggets, the nuggets was the only thing I would eat. After 10 years of boycotting them, the nuggets is what brought me back to. But even at that, I'll make nuggets at home. I don't care to financially support a company, even if my family started it. Even if it would financially benefit me, I will not support this company with what they've done to Uncle Harley now, especially after the last round of ads that they did, even in Canada. Oh, I won't do it. And how they treated my family and how they complained to me, I will not support the company. Matter of fact, there will never be a Sanders in the Colonel's family that will support the company again. Unless they, of course, go back to the original way, apologize for what they've done, which will never happen. So you'll never see the original Sanders in that again. If the grandchildren do it, they're selling out. If my cousins do it, they're selling out. My cousins on Lee's side would not do that. I don't know my cousins on the grandchildren's side that well, but Lee's family would not sell out to that. I use Presto deep fryer to make the chicken because I don't have a pressure fryer. Not pressure cooker. I misspoke to say pressure cooker and a few things. Some people argue that they do fry it in pressure cookers at home, but it's not advised. Electromatic pressure fryer is the fryer to use. Some people do have access to the old original fryers my uncle originally designed, but if you don't have that, if you don't have a commercial pressure fryer, you just use a deep fryer or skillet fry like he used to do. You just don't have that same quality that the pressure frying does. Pressure frying, he originally did that. If you watch the interviews, he talks like it was designed specifically to do all these things. He wanted the pressure fryer developed so that he could fry the chicken faster for his customers. It wasn't for the taste or anything like that. It was mainly for frying quicker. He saw the pressure cooker and said, hey, what happens if we put oil in it, or hot fat, and fry it under pressure? Would it cook faster? So he developed a way to be able to do that. Which my family comes from a long line of engineers too. My side of the family particularly went in the engineering field. But, yeah, hey, you want to share that? No? Okay. Alright, well, suck. Dave Thomas worked for Colonel Sanders. Not the other way around. But anyways, so he developed a pressure fryer to fry it under pressure, cooked faster, because before it took 18 minutes or more to fry the chicken. And he had people traveling through that wanted food faster, so he developed a pressure fryer to cook it faster, and then the highway came in, he had to close his restaurant, so he knew he had to franchise it, so he would lease out his cookers to these other restaurants to teach them a new method of frying chicken. And it just happened that when frying under pressure, it did all these extra things to get the quality. It, pushed the fat away from the chicken, so it had the least absorption. It wasn't greasy. And all the juices were locked down to the bone. It made it really tender. Fall right off the bone chicken. So it had all these benefits to it, which were a bonus to cooking it faster. I don't have one of those, so I have to deep fry it, but there's extra steps you could take so it doesn't get soggy, and that's let it drain off the rack. Excuse me for a little bit. Let it drain off the rack for a little bit. And the recipe for the gravy, there's no special thing other than dry out the cracklings at the bottom of your fryer. That's what the Electromatic did best, that Winston Shelton helped design. The Electromatic fryer was designed to filtrate the cracklings at the bottom of the fryer so that they could be collected, Electromatic, and used to make the gravy. Whether they still do this or not, I don't know. They still use Electromatics out of some of the restaurants. But I was always told that they now use a brown powdered packet of instant gravy mix. And some restaurants still mix some of the Electromatic cracklings at the bottom of the fryer in with that. But Uncle Harley didn't do that. He just collected the cracklings, dried them out, and created a roux out of them, made it from scratch. And he would instruct each of his franchises how to make the gravy, how to make the coleslaw, how to make the taters, how to make the chicken. He would supply the seasoning, and he would tell them what brands of other things to buy that he used. Somebody started to arrive. That's how we want to go out of the world. Suppose we can. buddy. Oh, I got hits on you. Got hits on you. With the gray gun. There you go. Yeah, I wish they listened too, but you know what they listen to? They listen to people who give them money. And if customers quit giving them money because they don't agree with the weird advertisements, if they quit giving them money because they don't agree with how they're treating the Colonel's family, and if they don't give them money because they don't agree with the quality and people realize this isn't what's being advertised, then they'll be forced to make a change. So the only way you're going to make a change is hurting their pocket. That's why they did this campaign to begin with. KFC US was struggling really bad. Now, in 2010, they were struggling, and they resurrected my uncle from the dead with actors that poorly represented him. They gave the wrong representation. And they had all these promotional... oh crap. Hold on. Are you my guy? You're my guy. Anyways, they had all these promotional items. You know, you had the Double Down, you had the Nashville Hot, you had the Georgia Gold, you had all these different types of chicken things, and some of them were a big smashing hit. But they were struggling then too. Even the U.S. president of Kentucky Fried Chicken at the time said they realized what customers were saying, and they have gone away from doing things right over the years, so they had a commitment that they were going to go back to the traditional way. Now what they're hoping is that all the people that knew Colonel Sanders and his quality are dead or forgotten, and that the original way it tasted would be forgotten, and the younger generation wouldn't care and just go and eat their food. That's the market. But resurrecting the Colonel saved them and made them relevant for a short time. They started struggling again. Why? Because they didn't fix the quality. They're not doing it the way it's supposed to be. They're just backing off of what Uncle Harley's name was. They are not known for world famous chicken. He's known. They do not make his chicken anymore. And I'm done trying to defend that. I have the facts, and now I'm posting my thoughts. And this doesn't apply to Corbin, because other than it's not his chicken. Because Corbin hasn't really done anything bad franchise-wise from what I saw. But they were struggling bad. You notice Raising Cane's, Jollibee or Jollibee, whatever, Popeyes, Chick-fil-A, all these competing chicken chains were overtaking Kentucky Fried Chicken, which is why they ran the Angry Colonel. Oh, car. Hello. Ooh, you're dead. So they ran this comeback campaign in an attempt to get people back on board with getting them relevant. That's what they want. They wanted to be relevant. And, yeah, it seems to be working somewhat. People are still buying the food. Pretty sure the marketing team is paid to have certain media outlets talk bad about me. Other countries have different health regulations, and I assume that really plays a factor in how tasty and good quality the food is. You can have good quality chicken and it not be Colonel Sanders. Would he be happy about it? No. He was a perfectionist, and if his name was on it, he wanted it as his chicken. If his name wasn't on it, he didn't care. But if his name was on it, it needed to be done his way. That was the agreement when he sold it. But we don't live in a handshake agreement. World requires contracts. KFC changed their name because the word fried was becoming unhealthy, and they didn't want on big billboards and signage saying fried on it because they were afraid it would turn customers away. The other legal reason they changed their name to KFC was because Kentucky had put a trademark on the name Kentucky, so that any business that was using the name Kentucky had to pay a royalty to Kentucky, the state of Kentucky. If they didn't want to pay it, so they changed it to KFC. And you notice for a while, the Kentucky Fried Chicken name was absent from the company because they didn't want to pay it. A third reason why they changed the name was because people were already abbreviating it as Kentucky Fried Chicken as KFC. So it's already widely adapted as KFC. And I'm dead. There's nothing to do with it not being chicken in. Nothing to do with that. A lot of the conspiracies is that because they're avoiding fraudulent advertising, so they cannot call it chicken if it's not chicken, so they call it KF&C. That's the big conspiracy. If that was the case with fraudulent advertising, then they would not. If they cared about fraudulent advertising, then they would not be using Colonel Sanders' name in the marketing at all, or his image, which is not his original recipe anymore because they just don't make it right. So they don't care about the fraudulent advertising. If it was that reason that they couldn't use the word chicken because they don't use chicken, then their cups, their buckets, their packaging could not say Kentucky Fried Chicken on it. They do. If you go to KFC today and you get a bucket of Kentucky Fried Chicken, depending on where you're at, what packaging that franchise has chosen to purchase to use, it will say Kentucky Fried Chicken across the bucket. It will say Kentucky Fried Chicken across the cups, across the boxes. It doesn't all just say KFC because they can legally still call it Kentucky Fried Chicken because they still use chicken. Now, is it fresh, never frozen? No. Some of it's frozen, from what I've learned. Is it his original recipe and quality? No. It doesn't taste the same as it's supposed to. But it's still chicken. I have not read that. A lot of people think, and yeah, being a historian, I should read all that stuff, but a lot of the information that I have is from within my family itself and research that I've done, but I haven't read any books on my, oh, am I controlling this? No, someone else is controlling this. I haven't read any books. I haven't read any books about Kentucky Fried Chicken or the corporate world. Should I? Probably. But I'm focused on the facts that I know to disprove the misinformation going around about my family history. Could I expand my content by reading some of that stuff and then speaking more on it? Yeah, I could, but I just want to see Uncle Harley either removed from the brand or respected. You'll pay for sauces. You should see what Saucy by KFC is doing. Now that's a brand, another spin-off brand by KFC without the Colonel's imaging or marketing on it, which I think eventually is going to replace Kentucky Fried Chicken. I think they're going to dissolve the business into that, and I'm fine with that. I don't care. I've read excerpts from my uncle's autobiography, and I have read certain things from other books, but I have not read the full books. But calling it Colonel Sanders Kentucky Fried Chicken is fraudulent advertising. It's misleading the public, especially the younger generation, into thinking, yeah, I'm having what the Colonel used to make over 80 years ago. No. It's not. Closest thing you'll get is what I posted. You got fresh fryer? That is the closest thing. Joe Eddington's recipe is not the closest thing you'll get to it. And I proved that in several videos. It's not a competition. It's just facts. There's also some other books people have wrote about Uncle Harley's recipe and KFC. I know you said the book you're talking about isn't about KFC per se. It's about corporate talk, how they speak. But there are books people have wrote specifically about it that people take as facts. And these books don't even come from any of the family. And some of the books written by family aren't necessarily true either. So you gotta take those with a grain of salt as well. And there's a reason why everyone in my family that's not on the Colonel's granddaughter's side or Colonel's daughter's side says that the book that his daughter wrote about him is absolutely a trendish, disgusting, wrong, lies and exaggerations. That's what they're calling it. Ooh, I hit you. Ooh, I hit you. Ooh, got ya. Yeah, the KFC gaming console. I wanted that. That was another partnering thing that they missed, because I'm a gamer, I'm in the Colonel's family. I stream. They had a real opportunity with that, but nope. We don't want to work with the originals. So, we gave them the opportunities, they didn't want it. So they could suck at that one. Huh? They had the opportunities. Now, if I ever get millions of followers, super famous, which I don't know if that'll ever happen. But if I did, then they'll be like, oh, hey, especially if it's a new marketing team, they'll be like, oh, hey, would you like to work with us on this? And I'll be like, no. You all had your opportunity. We're not going to do it now because you see clout opportunities. And some of these partnerships with social media things that these companies do, KFC and other fast food chains, I've never heard of half of these people. And they're very weird and disingenuous. Or genuine advertising. Everybody seems so fake in the advertising world. Everybody wants to be an advertiser, everybody wants to be famous. And that's great and all, but that's not how it works. That is not how it works. So when you have advertising, it comes across disingenuine by people who don't really believe in the product. It doesn't make somebody want to buy it. Now, Deion Sanders, with them nuggets, he came across as genuine. And although Nick Chavez, the CMO at the time that was in charge of those ads, blocked my social media account for saying, please don't sexualize my uncle like the last guy, I liked his marketing strategies because they came across as genuine. There was no fake tone. The restaurant was the Clyde Sanders Dinner House, still around today, and it was originally called the Colonel's Lady. Because they had the Colonel in the signage, KFC sued him for using his name. They also accused him of using his recipe, but he's using 99X, which is a variant, but not 100% his recipe, so. They sued him, he countersued for misuse of his name and image for over $200 million he sued. And they ended up settling the lawsuit. They paid him $1 million, and in exchange, he had to change the name of the restaurant and sell the ownership. KFC has tried to take down the Clyde Sanders Dinner House multiple times over the years. And they try to take down Mary Kay Spice's 99X because they deem them as a threat to their marketing. But the Clyde Sanders Jr. house is up for sale right now. And I'm dead due to lag. It's up for sale right now. And some of the bidders on it, which I haven't heard much more after this, KFC was afraid of because they wanted to franchise. They wanted to open franchises of the dinner house across Kentucky, maybe even the country. And that being the threat because people like 99X a whole lot more. Now 200 franchisees since 1985 can't use 99X. That poses a threat to them. Now imagine the threat if the actual family opens a restaurant under our ownership and we keep it in our ownership with our quality. Imagine that. They didn't want to work with us, they didn't want to listen to us, they didn't want to take our advice, so maybe it's time we start something to compete with them. That's better. Put them out of business. Yeah, I can't remember the first name. Last name was Quaid, the voice actor of that. My grandpa actually didn't like that commercial. He thought it was very disrespectful to Uncle Harley, the way they made him sound. So, he wrote them a letter. They later pulled those ads. They quit airing them, but he doesn't think it was related to the letter that he wrote to corporate about it. I would much prefer the cartoon, personally, over what they've been doing. That's all the company is now. They're trying to piggyback off the success of a man that did sell it. He did sell it. But they can't run it like he did. And they're so balls deep into the corporate world of what they've destroyed with his legacy that they don't want to pull out, fix things. Very simple way. Fix it. Go back to the original way. Do it the way he intended for it. The seasonings had to be cheap. Something. Now, Uncle Harley used lard, but he also approved the vegetable oil to use. I think he almost preferred vegetable oil. But they don't use vegetable oil in it. Canola soybean mix. That's it. So, you know, here's a thing. They've done it before. They've taken Uncle Harley's original footage and were able to alter it either with AI or just computer graphics, something, to make him talk about a newer version of the product. They did this with the $10 chicken share 10 years ago. They were sexualizing him. I made a big deal about it. They blocked me, and then they ran one ad with the original Colonel in it, the original man. One ad. And it was great. They ran one ad with the original Colonel. They're able to do it. First, no, second. I wouldn't have a problem doing that, but they, again, They need to go back to the original way. So, you want to come back in vain, what I was saying. Instead of changing the kernel, chanting, making him hot, sexualizing him, bringing in some goofball to weirdly advertise the chicken and make it uncomfortable. You want to call it a comeback, bring the original back or the original family. In a few locations, test it out, fry it in what it used to be fried in and the fryer that it used to be fried in. Because now franchisees have a choice between Henny Penny and Winston. When PepsiCo bought them out, they did away with Winston and did Henny Penny because it was cheaper. It was cheaper, and then franchisees fought to be able to have Winston's fryers, so Winston became a supplier for KFC again, Dutch Mac fryers, but each franchisee has a choice now, and I learned that from my friends at Corbin. I got a tour of the kitchen. So, bring back the approved fryers with the Colonel, bring him back in the ads with the technology that they have, or bring the family back, and serve the original side items. Heck, drop it down to the price. If people bought it, or just slightly above the price. If people bought it for that, they see that price affordable, and you're making it the way it was supposed to be made. You don't cheapen any of the ingredients, go back to cake flour, vegetable oil, and make it the way it was intended to be made. Follow the Colonel's instructions, and for an affordable price, people would eat that up. Imagine how many more customers you'd have getting affordable chicken for the quality that it was supposed to be. Imagine all the old timers coming back for it, to remember their younger days and what it used to be in its heyday. Imagine all the families gathering around every Sunday for Sunday dinner. After church, the thing to get was Kentucky Fried Chicken. You know, run all these things the way it used to be. And I think people would find that as a smashing success. But no, instead they decide, what if we make the Colonel hot? Make him hot! Make him hot! I mean, that's what they were chanting. They're advertising. It's just stupid. But, what do I know, yeah? I'm only a family member of the founder that made the company, and I know what the product is supposed to be like, and from the stories of my family, I know what it's supposed to be like, and I know what he was like. So, I know it worked. But, you know, because they make the big bucks and sit up there in their little office and make stupid ads, because, you know, they count on young people being stupid enough to, you know, not know any better. That's what they're counting on. They think they know better. I think my idea would make them a heck of a lot more money than they're already making. Mine did. No, Buddy. Why are you running, Buddy? Ah, are you serious? The first KFC was in Corbin, Kentucky. That's where it was found. The first franchise was in Salt Lake City, Utah. And I was told that the original location for Harmon's Cafe was torn down and a regular Kentucky Fried Chicken franchise was built on top. So while it's in the original spot, it's not the original building, so it kind of loses its luster there. The Sanders Cafe, they preserved as much as possible of the original building. A lot of it has been renovated, but it's more original than what the one in Utah is. I'd say I'd take pressure frying if I had that option, but between pan frying and deep frying, I'd do deep frying. I've done both. I haven't pressure fried. If I ever get a chance to hang out with my cousins on Lee's side again, I'm going to ask them if they could get me one of Uncle Harley's old pressure fryers, so it still works good. Try using that. My grandfather has a pressure cooker. He's going to try to modify it using Uncle Harley's design. I love going into the like museum and places where people who have worked there for years. They know the difference between now and what it used to be like, and learning from them how this stuff worked. And that includes family that worked in the franchises too, but even people outside the family that worked in the brand. I like to learn from them because I don't know everything. Right, it has to be taught to me, but I'm very interested in it, and I'm very thankful and appreciative of the people who take time to teach me. Because I will take time to learn it if they want to teach me. We don't really have family gatherings. Colonel's grandkids made it clear they want nothing to do with my side of the family. I don't know if they talk to the Colonel's sister's side of the family or not. We had one get-together with the Colonel's sister's side, which was, we were reunited by TikTok. I got TikTok and Instagram. I got in contact with my cousins I didn't know existed. I tried reaching out to the Colonel's grandkids online. I was blocked immediately. So, I really don't care. I don't care what they have to say either, unless they want to be family. The Colonel's step family on Claudia's side, don't care for them at all, based on my interactions with them and the lies that they have spread. So there won't be any gatherings with them. If we have gatherings again, it's going to be with my grandparents and my family I live with. But Uncle Harley doesn't really get brought up when we do have these gatherings. Crap. There, player. The times that he has been brought up at family gatherings. First time was when I was growing my facial hair out for the first time, and they're little stubbles. And my Uncle Alan looked at me and goes, I see he got his inner colonel coming out now. But the last time he was brought up at a family function was the family reunion we had with the Colonel's sister's side of the family. Come from his brother's side and his sister's side met with us. They're very nice people. So I got to learn about Lee and the Colonel from them because they knew him very well. Both of them well. But, you know, he doesn't come up that often. We honestly don't talk about it that much unless I ask some questions. Or if someone brings it up. Growing up, my grandfather would point out his image on the restaurants, and he made a point to teach me that that was my great uncle. That's who part of where we come from. It's part of our history. He made a point on that, and because he made the point on that, it made me ask some questions like, what do you know about him? What can you teach me? And then when I met other family, it's the same thing. What do you know about him? What can you teach me? What do you know about the business and stuff? Well, that's how I learned, was asking questions. But he never really got brought up. He's dead and gone. But he really started, I started really bringing him up a lot more when KFC started disrespecting his image, and I saw how much that upset my grandfather and other family members. So, that's when I really started asking a bunch of questions, because if I was going to talk about him online, I wanted to be as accurate as possible. A lot of people like using lard and tallow, but if you got Abigail, like my sister, that's not ideal to use because you have an allergic reaction to it. I'm not ready to fight you, dude. Ray Dannard used lard through the 70s when he owned his franchise. He's the founder of Shoney's, who bought these famous recipe. Uncle Harley suggested using hydrogenated vegetable oil, and that is what I use. That is what I use, is hydrogenated vegetable oil. My grandfather, I started using canola oil. That's what my grandfather used. That's what he likes. That's what tastes best with his chicken. You got a chicken recipe and a way of making it. Sometimes a certain oil tastes better than others. He uses canola. But once I switched to vegetable oil, because I'm following all the facts that I can find on Uncle Harley's chicken, I haven't gone bad. I like vegetable oil. It tastes best. Wonder how many Jewish people ate at Ray Dannard's restaurant. You brought that up. You're right. Lard doesn't work for Jewish folk who can't eat pork. But I wonder how many people went into Raymond Dannard's restaurants and ate the chicken not realizing it was fried in lard. That raises a good question. I never thought about that part. When it comes to it, vegetable oil is what Uncle Harley primarily used. He started with lard when he was frying in a cast iron skillet. And then he found vegetable oil to be a more affordable alternative that didn't, it wasn't like cheapening the product, it worked and it was better than using any other brand oils. I've never used avocado oil. What you fry it in changes the quality, it changes the flavor of the chicken. And it does, because if you use canola and then you use vegetable oil, it's completely different. Yeah, and Burger King, I think 10 years ago when they came out with those chicken fingers, roasted the Colonel too, Burger King dressed up like the Colonel. KFC actually sued them for that. I think. Pretty sure they did. I don't care about other companies also roasting Uncle Harley or poking fun at him. The company that is widely recognized as representing who he is, who he was, is what I care about. Now there are men that dress like my uncle, and they're probably watching this right now because they're highly obsessed with them, yet have me blocked on social media because I don't agree with them. I don't agree with some of them. I don't agree with people that someone says, hey, you look like Colonel Sanders, so they put a suit on and they run with that, and they actually act like they are him, or that they're channeling his spirit through them. It's creepy and it's weird. And they know, those folks that I'm mentioning know who they are. we call them food police. But the 70s came around and lard was starting to be phased out of public restaurants. And the more and more I learn and think about it, I'm beginning to think when Uncle Harley went big on franchising, that he switched to vegetable oil not only for the cost and effectiveness, but maybe he did take into consideration people who couldn't have lard. Just possibly. I think perhaps I'm actually convinced. I wish he was alive so I could ask him these questions myself, but all we have left are stories of family and things he left behind. I do think it's time to start something new. I don't know how we're going to do it. It's going to happen. If he can start poor, so can I. Get tired. I'm not working in the morning. Probably going. This is going to be our last round. Thank everybody for joining. There's something funny with the MSG part of it. I don't know if Uncle Harley actually put MSG in his chicken or not. No, he put the salt in. KFC uses MSG now, which is why I put MSG in the recipe. So does 99X, and although it's not the recipe, there's enough information in there that we can use to base some of the ingredients on. But when I make my chicken, I can't put MSG in it because it makes my father extremely gassy. Extremely gassy. But if I make the same chicken without MSG in it, he's fine. It's really weird. Never seen anything like it. Weird History Foods talking about your big one. I don't know who that is. There's so many content creators and pages talking about Uncle Harley and his history. A lot of them get things wrong. They're just talking about him. Do get clicks and views. A lot of those channels, I try to correct them, and they either block me or insult me and continue to keep their video up. They don't correct it. The Fat Electrician was the first and only content creator. Kept his video up, but he admitted that he could have been wrong on things, and he appreciated the information I had to share, and he took it into his notes. He's the only one I appreciate that made content on. Everyone else comes across so far as just talking about my uncle for clicks and views because he's such a famous name. And what sucks is here I am, family member. Yeah, I got a lot of followers on other platforms. There's 10,000 is a lot here. But these people that are spreading misinformation are getting millions upon millions of views, hundreds of thousands of followers, lots of ad revenue and money. And here I am trying to spread the truth, and it gets stumped at a couple hundred views, 2,000. And people believe the misinformation more because they got more following, more views, so it must be true. It's just how society works. I am grateful to some of the following that I have, that I do see those comments. The Colonel's nephew is on TikTok, is on YouTube, is on Instagram. He said this, here's his link to his video, please check it out. I do appreciate those comments. Oh, I said it was going to be our last round. Okay, this will be the last round. I'm yapping, I forgot. Excuse me. I guess I'll have to check it out to see how accurate they are. Oh, wow, I have no business playing the game. I've never gotten place 100. Okay, well, that's enough for me. Send it to my threads or tag me on Twitter or something with it. Send me a link to it. All my stuff is in my bio. It's in my link tree. You can find it very easily there. There is ways to contact me. I shut off Instagram because they're a different breed of cyberbullies, and it's better for my mental health not to go through and block everybody and read it all and just shut the comments and messaging off. Thank you all for watching.